The rapid collapse of the Assad regime in Syria is raising new fears and new possibilities for the country's 23 million people in the Middle East as a whole. Rebel forces captured Damascus on Sunday. Deposed President Bashar al-Assad and his family were already in Russia. Over the past 48 hours, Israeli airstrikes targeted Syria's chemical weapons stockpiles, while U.S. airstrikes targeted ISIS camps. As for what happens now, still very much an open question. Spring News Nation's Joe Connell live for us in Washington. Joe, the fall of the Assad regime comes after a 13-year civil war.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the reason so many people were taken aback by this and were surprised. It just happened so quickly. Now, you talk to people here on Capitol Hill about what comes next. Their concerns largely reflect the concerns we're hearing from the Pentagon, the White House, and the State Department, which is we don't know exactly what or who comes next. Nobody disagrees with the fact that Bashar al-Assad was a brutal dictator, someone who had massacred hundreds of thousands of his own people. He was certainly an enemy of the United States and a friend to many of our strongest adversaries like Russia and like Iran. But what comes next is still an open question at this point. The rebels that have now ousted him themselves were part of a group that was at one time associated with and linked to ISIS and to al-Qaeda, this group al-Hayat Tahrir al-Sham. Now, they have since broken those ties, and their leader, Abu Muhammad al-Jilani, who led this rebellion, is talking like a more moderate figure than he had been in the past. But there are a lot of questions. Can you place your trust in someone like that if you're the United States with this history? The U.S. still designates al-Jilani as a terrorist with a bounty on his head. So it's not at all clear whether there's going to be more stability in the future for Syrian people and for the region with someone like him in position of power. Nonetheless, the United States now trying to figure out what is its best course of action. This is what Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said about this not long ago.
As this unfolds, there's a potential that elements in the area, such as ISIS, could try to take advantage of this opportunity and regain capability. We've been tracking ISIS as a part of our Defeat ISIS campaign for some time, as you know, and we've seen cells trying to strengthen and develop additional capability.
Now, a couple of the immediate concerns from senators is the American troop presence in Syria, and we're continuing to hit ISIS targets there as a message that ISIS should not try to take advantage of the situation right now and the void of leadership. Another main concern there, the chemical weapons that Assad himself was keeping stockpiled. Where do they go? Do they end up in the hands of an ISIS or an al-Qaeda or somewhere else? That is a concern that American officials and senators here in this building are trying to figure out as well. And lastly, the humanitarian situation is still very dire. You've got hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of Syrians who've been displaced over the last 13 years in this civil war. So what happens with them could end up also causing a ripple effect crisis for the United States. We've got to figure that out, too.
Absolutely. All right. Joe Connell live for us there in Washington. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.